The next saga of the Star Wars universe began this week with Ahsoka, continuing the character's mysterious journey to find the still missing Grand Admiral Thrawn and try to avert a disastrous war before it can begin. The show debuted this week with a 2-episode premiere that drops us right into the story and Ahsoka's mission, which takes us a giant step forward when she discovers an ancient map that will hopefully allow her to access the other galaxy that Thrawn and Ezra Bridger were sent to by the Space Whales at the end of Star Wars Rebels. Ahsoka isn't the only one looking for the map, as Morgan Elsbeth, the Dathomirian Night Sister Tano fought in her appearance in The Mandalorian, is sprung from her New Republic jail by Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, a dark Jedi master and apprentice who will stop at nothing to get the map from the former Jedi. Dave Filoni and Steph Green, who each directed one of the 2 episodes, really tapped into the spy thriller stuff we saw with the last season of The Mandalorian with Dr. Pershing and the New Republic, giving these 2 episodes that ominous feeling we got since we get to see a bit more of the inner workings of the New Republic and how things aren't really going that well for them and they're still fighting a war with the Empire. It's just on different, less direct battlefronts, and ones that can be often overlooked or buried in paperwork, like Starship teardown and production. Obviously, the story has to focus on Tano and what she's up to, but I found those parts of both episodes really the most interesting parts, since it borders on things we saw on Andor and what Andor fully focused on, just the everyday people and how the war can affect them and their livelihoods. And also, I just really love when Star Wars does really mundane things that we have in the real world, like office work or industrial production, since I always like seeing how they Star Wars it up and make it sci-fi, and it just makes it feel a little bit more relatable. Ahsoka's continuing mission also sees her reunite with Hera Syndulla, this time being played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who alerts Tano of Elsbeth's escape, and thanks to the map being locked behind a complex puzzle, Ahsoka also approaches Sabine Wren, her former apprentice and Mandalorian, and someone who's a little bit more skilled with puzzles and art. Their relationship becomes a big part of these 2 episodes once Sabine is introduced, as they didn't leave each other on good terms, and Sabine feels frustrated that she isn't being of more use to the rebellion or the Republic, and it's being kind of just left on Lothal to deal with peace ceremonies and things that she has really no interest in. There's also the idea that she feels like Ahsoka abandoned her a little bit and kind of left her behind because she of course is not force sensitive, and she has this feeling that maybe that's why she was left behind and somewhat abandoned. And I like that it kind of goes into it a little bit with her relationship with Huyang, who again is back being played by David Tennant. Huyang, the robot who oversees the young Padawans who make their lightsabers and sends them on their journey to Ilum's character we've seen in Clone Wars and other media, so to have him come back and be a confidant of sorts to Sabine is really quite cool. Of course, when Ahsoka approaches Sabine for help, she kind of jumps at the chance to have another adventure and help get Ezra back from Thrawn and the mysterious galaxy that he was sent to. Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who plays Sabine, captures her youthfulness and excitement really well, while also adding in a bit more of a natural maturity and seriousness to her, things that would come naturally to a character like this after spending so many years on the same planet and kind of being forgotten about. She's kind of grown up a little bit more than she was when we saw her in Rebels. When she's with Ahsoka as well, there's this great feeling like she's trying to seek Ahsoka's attention and approval all the time, and kind of trying to prove to her that she is a useful student and can adopt the ways of a Jedi even though she has no force powers. But because she's always trying to seek this approval, she doesn't realize that she actually already has it. Rosario Dawson working off Natasha in these scenes is wonderful, and I love how reserved and quiet she is as Ahsoka. We saw this in Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett as well, and I like that she's always very quiet and there's like a mysterious playfulness to her, and I like that that comes through in her talking with Sabine a lot as well. It also mirrors nicely with Baylan and Shin as well, who aren't really in both these episodes all that much. They're in it very sparingly. They have a great sequence that opens the first episode, and from there they're in the episode very sparingly. And I like that we kind of don't really know their deal on how they got with Morgan, and it seems like they've been hired by her and they don't really know the full extent of her plan. They kind of know what she plans on doing, which is getting Thrawn back, but that's about where their information ends, and it's like they're being led on by the Night Sisters sister or have been promised something which she knows she can't give, but when it comes time to giving it to her, she'll probably end up betraying them. Shin is quite interesting on her own since she's constantly questioning the plan and their orders, very much how the young Ahsoka would do with Anakin during the Clone Wars. So I could see some sort of connection forming with her and Ahsoka, where Ahsoka sees her as a kindred spirit or someone who was very much in her position at one point, and maybe they could form a rapport from that sort of thing once they fully meet, since they don't actually get to meet properly in these 2 episodes. I can't wait to learn more about the characters as well, since Balon is revealed to have been a Jedi at one point, and it's alluded to in promotional materials and things we've seen of coming episodes that he may have known or at least worked with Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars and sometime before it. So I'm intrigued to see that connection and how it's brought up between Ahsoka, being that Ahsoka was Anakin's apprentice. So far, the show is off to a very good beginning, setting up Ahsoka's next mission and returning to plot points not brought up since Rebels ended a few years ago. Because of this though, I'm not sure how approachable it will be to newer fans who either haven't gotten around to watching Rebels or Clone Wars, or for some foolish reason won't bother watching it since it's animation and they somehow think that animation is a lower form of art. Outside of Ahsoka and Sabine and Hera, there is a lot more stuff from Rebels in the show, and it will be a shame for viewers not to be able to fully appreciate all of that sort of stuff. As someone who has watched Rebels, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It looks fantastic. The special effects were top-notch, and I'm looking forward to getting to see more of these beloved characters come to life in live action as we inch ever so closer to that announced heir to the Empire movie Dave Filoni is doing at some point after this show is finished. I'm going to give these episodes a 9 out of 10, so check it out, and if you haven't, I definitely would recommend giving Star Wars Rebels a shot. You will not be disappointed. It is a fantastic show.